What's your favourite BBC Wales programme? Now, obviously, I'd like to think you're going to say Wales Today at this point, but of course, the BBC brings you far more than news. There is drama, there's sport, major events, and much more on television, radio, and more recently on digital platforms, of course. Well, today marks exactly 100 years since the first BBC broadcast in Wales. The anniversary comes as more content from Wales than ever before is reaching audiences across the UK and beyond. Jen has been taking a look back through the archive.
So where are we going?
A century of famous faces, theme tunes and memorable moments.
It's yes to devolution.
The BBC in Wales has changed beyond recognition since the original broadcast on this day in 1923. And one of the first voices heard on the BBC from Cardiff was baritone Mostyn Thomas singing Dafydd y Garreg Wen. And this is where those radio waves were coming from, 19 Castle Street, with this plaque, a proud reminder of the building's history.
We've recreated a shop window with...
And what better way to go back to the beginning than this exhibition at the National Museum?
We want people to recognise that there is a different history here in Wales. We wanted people just to learn about some of the first broadcasts and how things developed within Wales.
Wales gets its very own TV service in 1964.
With a television service launched in the 60s, BBC Wales kept on growing, with studios across the country and a purpose-built broadcasting house in Cardiff, allowing our news teams to bring you the big stories, from the rise of Welsh stars, to elections, to disasters that shook the country.
Some of the helpers tore at the rubble with bare hands in their desperate efforts to get at the children.
It certainly had a part in giving that sense of Wales as a nation, provides that sense of belonging to an imagined community, and as a result, I think, has gained the loyalty of audiences, both in English language and, of course, in Welsh language.
BBC Cymru Wales is, of course, a bilingual broadcaster. Pobl y Cwm, launched in 1974, is the BBC's longest-running soap.
Today is the day a brand new Radio Wales takes to the air.
The 70s also saw the launch of two national radio stations, Radio Wales and Radio Cymru. Hywel Gwynfryn was among the presenters on the day of the launch.
I was fortunate enough to be the breakfast programme's presenter. No mobile phones, no computers, no laptops, no emails, but a lot of commitment, and that commitment is still there, and I'm very glad to say that Radio Cymru goes from strength to strength.
I never seen a Grand Slam.
From Grand Slam to the district nurse.
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
And the relaunch of Doctor Who. Big-budget dramas have been based and produced here.
He needs me, Charlie.
Welsh actress Suzanne Packer was in the cast of Casualty when the series moved from Bristol to the Rothlock Studios in Cardiff.
The best thing about having massive productions here now is that there's a sense that you don't have to go to London. The fact that you can literally build a career here in Wales and high-quality work is amazing. Makeup, designers, they can come here and build a career.
From big drama to big events, we're live at Wales's biggest festivals year on year. But what does the future look like? I asked Emma and Robert, who helped co-curate the centenary exhibition at the National Museum. They spoke to other young people about representation as part of their research.
I do feel like people are represented. I think that maybe should be more engagement with the public to see what people really do want to get out of the BBC as well.
I agree. And if BBC continues to work with people and listen to what people need and want, I think there's a future definitely for BBC, yeah.
Well, that's good news for me, so thank you.
And with more programmes from Wales than ever before reaching audiences across the UK and beyond, we hope to be here for many more years to come.
Amazing archive there. Now, you may be able to see a bit of activity in the newsroom behind me. That's because Lucy is doing something we've never done before. She's currently live streaming onto the BBC Wales Facebook page and onto the BBC Wales News website, giving you at home a bit of insight into how we get Wales Today onto the air every night. Let's speak to Lucy now. Luce, how's it going?
Thank you very much, Nick. Right, we need to try and get our heads around this. So I am talking to you live on Wales Today, but I am also talking to people live on the BBC Wales News Facebook page and live on the BBC Wales News website page. This is Geraint, our cameraman, and behind there is Rodri, another cameraman, so you'll have to excuse me if I get confused about which camera that I'm talking to. But basically the reason that we're doing this is, of course, we are marking 100 years of the BBC in Wales, which is super exciting. And we wanted to do something different. This is a first. We have never, ever done this before. And the reason that we wanted to do it is because while we are incredibly grateful to the hundreds of thousands of you that tune in to BBC Wales Today every single day, we're also aware that people are also getting their news from other platforms as well. They're getting them online, they're getting them from BBC Sound, sometimes catching up on news bulletins there. So we really wanted to kind of fuse all this together and just give you a little taste as well of what is going on behind the scenes. Now, for our live streamers, I'm getting told that I have 10 seconds left on this live, which means that I need to wrap this up. And Nick, I'm going to hand back to you, but if it's okay, I will be coming back into that studio to come and have a chat with you afterwards to find out how the programme was for you. We'll chat to Derek, our star weatherman, and Thomas Davids is going to talk us through the sport. But now I'm just going to hand back to you right through there.
And we'll tell you how it's all done. Lucy, thanks very much indeed. So, as we saw from Jen just now, BBC Wales has played a central role in Welsh life over the past 100 years. Earlier, I spoke to Rhiannydd Richards, the director of BBC Cymru Wales, not just about the past, but the future as well. But I began by asking her about the impact it's had over the years.
It's definitely shaped the way I've perceived Wales, the way I perceive my own community. And, you know, I've been watching Wales Today since I was a little girl, inspired by people like Noreen Bray and Sarah Edwards to go into journalism myself. I think of Radio Wales, Radio Cymru, as the sort of soundtrack to my childhood and to my teenage years. You know, they shape our views, they shape our outlook on life, on the world, and certainly on Wales. And when we think of all those people who've played a role either as presenters, reporters, contributors over that centenary, then you get a real sense of the place of BBC Wales in the Welsh psyche. A tremendous sense of history there. What about the future? You know, it's a very different era now. During a cost of living crisis, we have to justify the licence fee, £13 a month. How do we do that with so much competition out there? I think it's really important that everybody in Wales feels value for the licence fee they pay in. We accept that we have a huge responsibility in that respect. And we've got to remember that even today, even with that huge competition that you've alluded to, 90% of the people of Wales are still coming to the BBC every single week. And I think what's important for us in BBC Wales is to recognise that we do something unique as well. We reflect the world, the Wales, back to our audiences, communities that they can relate to, stories that they're in touch with. And yet things are changing now at a pace that we've never really seen before, have we? Primarily through digital in particular. How do we engage this younger generation? And we know a lot of them are not doing that in the way that they have done in the past with BBC Wales. The work we're doing to grow audiences to our digital platforms is absolutely critical, and the role BBC Wales plays in that is really important too. So I'm thinking about the dramas we're creating specifically in order to grow audiences to iPlayer. When I think of the podcasts we're creating on BBC Sounds, when I think that over 4 million people are coming to our BBC Wales News online service every single week. That's the future. We know that we've got to be where our audiences are, but we've got to continue to ensure that we're providing distinctive, unique content that our audiences want. Rhiannydd Richards speaking to me earlier.